Good morning, Bitcoiners. Welcome back to your economic calendar. A look through the economic data, news, and events that could impact Bitcoin prices in the week ahead. Here's what you need to know for this week. Last week, Fed officials, notably Mary Daly, made comments. She very well pointed out that it's too early to declare victory on inflation. The markets did not take this news all that well. Looking at the futures markets for interest rates, the market is pricing a 2/3 probability for 2023 that the Fed is done raising interest rates. Only 1/3 of the market believes that the Fed could still be looking to increase interest rates for 2023. If the Fed essentially continues hammering this narrative that rates could continue to rise in 2023, the markets could head lower after the news. Now, we spend a lot of time here looking at the US Federal Reserve and US equity markets to find insights and potential signals for where the price of Bitcoin could be headed. And we don't necessarily look for the same types of insights for price discovery in places like Argentina, where there are actually thousands of people rushing to crypto right now to protect themselves from their devaluating local currency. Now, in overly simplistic terms, the reason that this matters and that the impact of these two camps are so disproportional is because essentially investors in markets like the US and Europe control a great deal of wealth in all markets, from equities to crypto. And so their portfolio decisions impact Bitcoin price disproportionately. And this, relative to somebody in Argentina or Venezuela trying to protect their paycheck. And this is why, although we always look to Argentina and these emerging parts of the world as more of the people that are finding tremendous value in Bitcoin, like myself in Venezuela, it is always important to look at the positioning from investors in other parts of the world, as they can disproportionately drive price and push it around more so than the people in Argentina or Nigeria that might be looking to access Bitcoin or digital assets to solve a very immediate problem. And to highlight some of the changes or the changing tides that we are seeing from new world technology to old world technology of energy and manufacturing, we wanted to highlight this piece of data from the second quarter earnings reports that we just saw, which is the earnings from the Saudi crown oil company Aramco. The earnings from Aramco for the second quarter of 2022 surpassed the earnings of Tesla, Facebook, now Meta, Apple, and Microsoft combined. So if this data does not illustrate how much the tides are changing from technology to, say, energy and manufacturing, I think this chart speaks more than 1,000 words. And as always, we wrap up with a summary of the events and economic data that could impact Bitcoin in the week ahead. This coming week, we get another pulse check on the US economy through new home sales and another read on US inflation through the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, which is another way of computing inflation that the Fed loves to look at. We also get earnings from NVIDIA, which is a big graphic card manufacturer. This is important because these graphic cards are used by Ethereum miners in proof of work to validate the network, and they have led to a great deal of business for NVIDIA. Now, in the upcoming merge, Ethereum will switch from proof of work to proof of stake, which means that this process will no longer require the graphics cards that are manufactured by NVIDIA. It'll be interesting to see if they actually make any comments to future demand based on this potential change on Ethereum. And lastly, we get a very potentially important speech from Fed Chair Jerome Powell at the Jackson Hole Symposium. So now let's break down exactly when these updates and data are coming out. Today, Tuesday, 10 a.m., we get new home sales in the US. On Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, we get the NVIDIA corporate earnings call. On Thursday at 8:30, we get initial and continuing jobless claims in the US. And on Friday, which is the big day, we get the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, which is the way of computing inflation. And at 10 a.m., we also get the speech from Jerome Powell at the Jackson Hole Symposium. With that, we have reached the end of today's show. If you enjoyed it, learned something, we welcome you to subscribe to our channel, like it, thumbs up, share it with your friends. And if you don't yet have a Ledn account, we welcome you to check out ledn.io, where you can learn how you can earn the best interest rates for your favorite assets, Bitcoin and USDC. And we have the best rates for dollar loans if you want to borrow against your Bitcoin and not sell your stack. Our most recent product, the Bitcoin Mortgage, lets you buy a house as big as your stack. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Los quiero mucho, and see you next week.